Good morning, all. Is it a good time to start? I still see only 2 attendees online. Can somebody give me a nod? Shall we start or shall we wait for a minute? Am I audible? Ramya, can you tell me whether to get started or something? Okay. Uh, Fine. So let me get started. I believe we have to go the similar way that we did yesterday. Okay, fine. Let me share my screen. We'll get started today. We have a packed agenda. We'll follow the content as much as we can cover. Let me minimize the screen. Control S. Are you able to see my screen now? Give a thumbs up if you're able to do it. Anybody need to respond in the chat because I don't see anyone, so I can't. Is it all good? Ramya, can you tell me whether the screen is visible and everything? Okay. I am getting an response saying, sir, can we wait for 5 minutes? So do we want me to wait till 2 more minutes to get started? I can. Okay, fine. So we'll get started at 7:05. We are on time. Shall we start now? Okay. Ramya, can you just give me a thumbs up or yes in the chat? I'm watching the chat window. 2 more minutes. Okay. Okay, I wanted to do some exercise yesterday, but then it seemed like if people are not going to join, how do I know student names? And I wanted to do a live exercise. That is where I wanted to know how exactly you can transform and translate or data into a database technology, or how the SQL, why the SQL is very important. So if I can't know, then essentially I will assume, or if you know, you can also put the data in the in this particular manner, Ramya, if you are maintaining in SQL. What I just need is a full name, the background of the student, and the experience, if at all. So what we want to do, we want to do an exercise of creating data objects today. Understand how exactly what is the purpose of DDL? How do you think about a data? What form of data it will be available in? How do you translate that data and ingest into SQL? And what commands helps you ingest into the SQL. That is what I wanted to do a live exercise. Is it a possibility, Ramya, to get this data in Excel or CSV if you have? Okay, they can ask question and you will allow them to unmute also. Is that correct? Okay, fine. I definitely see only at 3 attendees right now. Like I said, I wanted to do a 5-10 minutes of introduction because I wanted to know the students. So it will be better if they are being unmuted one by one, so that at least I get to know about their career, their background, and that will help me channelize better. Okay, I'm waiting. You tell me when to start. I will get started. I can see only 3 attendees though here in the attendee list. Okay, to start. They are registering, so we have to wait for some more time. No worries, it is okay. We can do it. We can do. We should do it in a proper manner. So I see Guljar Sheikh. Hi Guljar, nice to know you. Hi Kalyan. I see only one more student joining. Yeah, please go ahead. Uh, please start. I think we can spend 10 more minutes for the introduction so that at least we'll see a live database getting created. We'll understand how exactly the data formation is done. Why not? Feel free, Ramya, to unmute one by one, whoever has joined, and we'll do some exercise. While you are doing it, I also have an ambition of doing something in the background. So yeah, feel free. Hi everyone, whoever has joined, if you are able to hear me loud and clear, what we are going to do is we are going to do our introduction in only three manner. One, I want your name, I want your background being engineering, computer science or something, computer, non-computer science, BSc, some background, like what course did you complete last, and then I want to know about your experience. Are you carrying any computer science experience? If so, then how many years of experience? If you are a fresher, say fresher. Okay. Ravya, would you mind unmuting them? We should close this entire activity in 5-10 minutes. So go, whoever has joined, unmute them one by one. Ramya, can you do that? Or may I can do that? I might be able to do that because I'm a self-muted. I can't do that. Ramya, are you doing it? Okay. Can you unmute Guljar? Hi, Guljar. Guljar, are you able to hear me? Right. Just give your name, your background, and your experience. Background as in, are you a BTech? Are you a BSc? Are you a Bachelor of Arts? What exactly you have completed and your experience quick. Not able to hear you. Are you able to hear me? I'm not able to hear.
Hello, sir.
Hello. I heard a voice. Yeah.
Yes, sir. This is Gulzar.
Hi, Guljar.
Yeah.
And what is your background?
I've recently completed my MCA.
Your background is MCA and your experience? Fresher?
Zero fresher.
Fresher. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for this detail. Harish, would you go now? Next. Harish. Ramya, would you mind unmuting Harish? Harish Nagamallu. Harish, are you saying something? See in the question, Spencer. Harish, oh, that's good. Harish become 3 years in finance. Harish says become. Thank you for this. Actually, this is going to help me. And he's 3 years in finance. Okay, 3 years in finance. Good number. Okay, next, please do the same thing, guys, if you can do, or unmute yourself and speak if you can. Kalyan Vishnu, can you talk about it?
So my name is Kalyan Vishnu.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I have done my graduation from Triple E, and even I'm not having any experience.
Vision in? Or can you type the same thing in the chat window or in the question segment? That will actually help because this there is echo. So whoever has not spoken up, would you mind writing the same the way Harish did? Write in the question and answer segment. Your name is anyways, you can write your name, then can you type down your name, background, and experience in the chat window in some way? A chat window or the question? Yeah, EEE, Electronics Engineering. EEE, that is nothing but engineering, I believe. But then EEE and then fresher. Okay, how about Raparthi Manideep? Srinivas Yadav. Myself, Rapati, and then what is your answer? What is your background? Your background is computer science, non-science. You just said myself, Rapati, Mandeep, but then completed BTech Civil Engineering. Okay, engineering, and then experience. Fresher. Let me assume fresher. Okay. Then let's go to Shri Vijaya Krishna, would you like to talk? Vijaya Krishna. So what are you saying? Vijaya Krishna, civil engineering, faculty 4 years. Faculty, civil engineering and faculty for 4 years. That's interesting. And Vijaya Krishna is a faculty for 4 years. Background is faculty. So which subject do you teach, Vijaya? Chinni Krishna. Chinni Krishna says BSc Computers, BSc, and then computers, which is a good thing. And then fresher, I think so. Till now I taught 18 subjects. That's interesting. Chinni Krishna, BSc Computer, Vijay Krishna I saw, Chinni Krishna I saw. What about Uday Kiran? Uday Kiran, mechanical, and are you a fresher? Two years experience in big data. That's interesting. Pradeep, mechanical. Pradeep is saying he has 2 years in big data, 2 years experience in big data. Pradeep. Okay. Pradeep Chaprala. 2 years in big data. Okay. And then what is your Pradeep? Your experience is, are you a Pradeep says ECE, again engineering. Engineering ECE. Okay. Then I saw Pradeep. Then I say Uday Kiran. Uday Kiran said 1.5 years as CAD engineer. I don't know what that means. 1 year, 1.5 years as CAD engineer. Okay, good to know about you there. Now let's see Uday Kiran then working as, who is saying Uday Kiran CAD engineer, working as a PC at NetApp from last 2 years. Who is this guy? Any? Who, I don't know who has written this. Working as PC in, may I know the name of this person? I don't see the name here. After Uday Kiran, working as a PhD in NetApp from last 2 years. Who has written that? Is it Pradeep? Hype Spark. Chinni Krishna, Bangalore location. Uday Kiran, computer aided design. Chinni Krishna, Pradeep, yes. Okay, fine. So what about Sai Vijaya Krishna? Sai Vijaya Krishna, Sai Vijaya Krishna that I believe so. Sai Vijaya Krishna. There is something, okay, Sai Vijaya Krishna, it is like now. Okay, there is a shorting now. How about Arshad? Arshad, what do you do? Uh, Folks, you just type down your thing without waiting, right? Or to call out your name. I can just go and read from the thing also. So I see the last thing being Pradeep. Then this is Vijay Krishnatatai. It's me only DIR. MCA, Arshadar. Experience, Arshad? MCA. Okay, Arshad, good. MCA. And are you a fresher, Arshad? Okay. How about Chini Krishna? Chini Krishna has done. How about Debde Dabde Prashant? Dabde Prashant, can you speak or chat? Arshadar is done. Dabde Prashant is saying B pharmacy fresher pharma. That's interesting. Pharmacy and a fresher. Okay, fine. What about Muhammad Rifuddin? Thank you, Muhammad. Muhammad, MOHAMMAD, Muhammad, RAFIUDDIN, Muhammad Rafiuddin. I'm a BTech CSC 2020, no experience. So you are CSE and fresher, but one extra thing is 2020. Okay, thank you, Raifuddin. This is Sitara Banu. Sitara Banu. I know that I took some time, but bear with me. You will see some interesting thing today. So that will help you understand why I'm doing this exercise. Sitara Banu, MBA background, 6 years experience in admin department. Okay, so that's also interesting. Sitara, MBA and 6 years in admin, and you want to change your career. That's great. And now I will go to the next one. I don't see any charting again. Guljar, we did discuss. Let's see. Arshad, which Guljar, Harish, we spoke. Uday Kiran, we spoke. Sitara Banu, we spoke. Vijay Krishna. So only 16 today. Okay, no worries. But I don't know what I have missed. I might have missed some. Don't worry. It is just an exercise we want to do. I got to know about a lot of things. Somebody is saying I am in the talent acquisition. Sandhya. This is Sandhya. Sandhya, where is your name listed here? Arshad, Dibjay, Guljar Sheikh, Harish, Kalyan, Lokanath. Also, there is some guy called as Lokanath. Lokanath, N.A. Lokanath, Venkataramana, okay. And then there is Sandhya, and she's a CSC fresher. Is it a she? From the name, I'm guessing. Forgive me. NDHY Sandhya, CSC fresher. Thank you, Sandhya, for this. And then what about the Lokanath? Venkataraman is saying education BTech, CSC, later MBA, 3 years in data engineering. You have 3.5 years experience. That is quite awesome. So Lokanath is saying 3.5 years in data engineering. 3.5 years in data engineering and CSC. Okay, fine. Anybody left out? Please type that in the chat window, please. Lokanathan is MBA also. This is Chinni Krishna. Chinni Krishna, did I write somewhere? Chinni Krishna, BSc Computers. NetApp, yeah. Chinni Krishna, I did. Fine. I think we have been through everybody. Srinivas Yadav. Okay. Srinivas Yadav. And then BSc 4.7 years. BSc and 4.7 years in what I don't know, but I will measure 4.7 years. Okay. Okay, fine. So I have the data. Now you will be wondering, why did I collect this particular data? Okay. Let us start with today's session. Thank you all. Thank you very much for providing all this detail. Now you must be wondering, why did I ask about all these things? What is the purpose? Is it how exactly in real world, what is the role of a SQL or a data engineering guy? If you ask me, the most important part for today's session that we are going to start with is, before doing any kind of programming even, we want to understand, yesterday we discussed about information and data. Is that correct? And I said one statement: information is the raw data facts, right? These are raw data facts. When you are typing in the chart window, if you are able to see my screen, then whatever you have posted in the chart window are the raw facts, right? You wrote a line of sentence: myself, Chinni Krishna, I am working in NetApp, still have to, and I have 2 years of experience and stuff, right? But then yesterday, when I read this statement, this entire statement is an information line. Do you remember? We are talking about the database management system. We are talking about data in the real world. Okay. In the information technology world, the IT is the term that helps you translate and transform information into data and back to information upon need. Okay. Now, if you ask me, how do we transform all this data back into information? I yesterday explained, if you ask WH questions to your information line, whatever answers you get is your data. So what did I ask to this line? Myself, Chinni Krishna. I asked who I'm talking about. Who is this person who is writing this? I got an answer saying Chinni Krishna. So one of my subject is Chinni Krishna. Now I asked, where did this guy work? Now I found an answer, NetApp. This is my company name is NetApp. How much experience this particular person is having? 2 years is an answer, right? So how did I transform the information into data? By asking WH question. I transform my lines of statements, lines and lines of statement into words now, right? If you see what I collected now after discussing with each and every individual of you is your name, your background and your experience. Okay, in real world you will find the first part of any exercise for the data engineering solution, for doing the data study, for doing any database exercise, is finding and organizing the data. Okay, what exercise did I do right now is by checking with you, asking you question in a very specific format. What did I do? I said, whenever you are introducing yourself, do introduce your name, your background, and your experience. So what structure did I put in into this entire exercise? I put three structure into place. And what did I put this structure? The name and the background and the experience. Okay. For the simplicity sake, let me put the background color as white. Okay. Name, background, and experience is the three attribute against which I started collecting the data. And then what did I collect? I collected all the name of the candidate. I collected their rough background. For some I could collect, for some I couldn't collect because I couldn't identify what Vijay Krishna background is because he didn't write it out. For some candidate I could find the experience, for some I couldn't find, which is fine, which is absolutely fine, right? While during the data collection phase, you may have some data, you may not have some data. Okay. So it is important to look through all this data, structure the data first, put them into rows and columns. And how do you in the real world, when you do this organization of the data, it is known as relational data. We'll understand how exactly the relational concept came into existence. If I see here, I am just structuring the thematically structuring the data. What I understood, they are attending a data engineering class and they are attending my session of SQL. So I know these candidates are going to learn SQL over a period of time. And I want to create a container. I want to create a storage container for me to put this data into a SQL table, right? How do I organize the data? I did organize my data. I could identify who are my students. I could identify their background and their experiences. Now the next exercise that I want to do, I want to store this data somewhere. I have stored this, collected this raw data in a flat file or a CSV. Flat file means TXT file. Do you remember? You can collect the data in a TXT file. You can collect the data in a CSV file, comma separated value file. You can collect the data in an Excel file. Okay. Now, when you actually do exercises in the data engineering world, you are not going to do exercise on the flat file or a CSV or something. You have to structure it out. And once you structure it out, you have to create your entities. Entity means what? Entity means tables. And you have to create what? You have to create attributes. Attribute means the columns. Every entity means a table, contains data in columnar manner. So here, if you see, this is the tabular grid known as, I will give the table name as student record or something. I will give a table name and then I will have three column: name, background and experience. And from there we'll get started and store the data. Okay. Now, during this entire half an hour of exercise, whatever we did is collecting the data. Now I will come back to the session note. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. Give a thumbs up or type something in the chat window. I just need an yes. Are you able to see my screen? The PPT now? Can I get a yes in the chat window, please? I I assume you are able to see, right? Anybody can give a yes in the chat window or in the questions anywhere. Yes, I see. Okay, fine, thank you. Okay, let me minimize this grid and we'll go back to the session notes. Okay, let me put it in the presentation mode and we'll see how exactly it looks. Okay, fine. Today's agenda is all about covering the data definition language command. Yesterday we spoke about SQL, stands for structured query language, and it is controlled by American National Standards Institute. Okay, SQL is one of the world's biggest programming language used across each and every company. There is not a single company existing as an IT company in the world that doesn't use SQL. So SQL is a programming language which is universally accepted for doing programming for the data stored in a data storage container in a relational manner. We'll understand the relationship and everything in thematic way in session by session. But today's objective is we want to cover the data definition language in the upcoming slides. Okay, so today's agenda will discuss about the data definition language, commands that is supported within the data definition language, purpose of the DDL command, and what are the 5 commands that is available within the DDL: create, alter, drop, rename, and truncate. These are the only 5 commands available under the DDL bucket. DDL means, again, do you remember, data definition language? The name itself suggests that you can define a structure for the data in the data definition language command. Okay, that is what you are going to do within the DDL command stack. Let's go to the next part. Let us understand what is the purpose of the DDL. Okay, DDL helps you create or modify the structure of any objects within SQL. Okay, within SQL Server, there are hundreds and thousands of objects exist. Okay, namely, a few can be attributed to a table where you can actually store relational table, columnar and tabular data. Okay, the Excel data that we saw is in columnar and tabular data. It seems like a table data, row and grid, and there are certain column that uniquely identify the property of the data, right? You can create a structure like database, we can create structure like tables, views, procedure, function, triggers, cursor, primary key, constants, rule, logins. Absolutely, there are hundreds and thousands of objects available within SQL Server and every other database programming language, and we can use these 5 commands to create, modify, and destroy. 3 of the objectives can be done when you want to create those objects or modify the structure of the existing object, or you want to drop that particular object altogether. That is where you will be leveraging DDL. Okay, do you remember, whenever you want to define the structure, modify the structure, or drop the entire structure, then only use the DDL command. Okay, now what are the commands available within the DDL? There are only 5 commands available within the DDL: create, alter, drop, rename, truncate. What is the purpose of this command? Right, there are 5 commands, there has to be purpose of each of the command. Now, do you remember, create command is a command that helps you creating new SQL objects. Alter command is a command, alter means in English change. Alter command helps you modify the structure of an already existing created object. Okay, drop command helps you deleting the structure of the existing object. Rename is an SQL standard command that helps you renaming an existing object to a new object. Say for an example, you have a table called as customer and you want to change it to customers. Then you have to you use a command called as rename, because you are trying to rename an existing existing object to a new object. Truncate is a special command that is only applicable with a table type of object, and its purpose is to delete all rows from the table, keeping the structure intact. Do remember, it is an interview question. Take some notes. Truncate will be an interview question wherever you are going for data engineering or SQL Server SQL related interviews. Okay, it is a 10 on 10 question. Question can have 3 forms. 1, tell me what is truncate command, what is the purpose of truncate command, what is the difference between delete and truncate command. Okay, do remember, truncate is the DDL command and its purpose is to delete all rows of data from the table and keeping the structure intact. Okay, we'll explain, we'll study more about each of these command stack. Okay, I hope everything is clear now. I'm not looking at the chat window. If you have question, keep writing in the chat window, and towards the end of the session, around 8 o'clock 15 minutes or 8 o'clock 20 minutes, we'll get started. I will go through the chart and start answering one by one. Okay, now these are the 5 commands, those are available within the DDL. Now let's go back. We'll start with our fast journey. We'll start with the create command. What did we do yesterday when we closed the session? We installed, I am assuming that you have installed SQL Server on your machine, because I have given the entire session of how to download, how do you install. So if you have already installed your SQL Server, you can actually start doing the exercise alongside me, or you can do the exercise after the session as well. Okay. Create command is the command that helps you create the structure of an object. Do remember how do you remember the syntax? The syntax is pretty straightforward. Create, object type, object name. That is how you are going to do that. Okay. Do remember, in the create, there is another part that I did not write, is the optional structure after the object name. I will learn about that particular thing. But what is definitely consistent? Create, object type, object name. The object type, say for an example, you want to create a database. You will say create database name. You want to create a table, you will say create table name. But when you say table definitely means it looks like a table, right? There will be rows and columns. When you have columns, you have to give a name to the column, right? In the Excel, what we did, the name the column. When you go to an Excel, let me actually change my purview. We'll go back to the same Excel where we collected the data. Do you see this looks like a table like of structure, right? There are rows of data, unified data, and then there are columns. The column representing the B column. Excel itself is a table like structure, right? There are rows 1, rows 2, rows 3, and column like A, B, C, D, E, F, and structure like that. Okay. Now, if you see that, this is a tabular data, right? If I select a grid from B2 till D17, whatever range I have selected, it is a table-like structure. And the 3 columns that contain unified data is name, background, and experience. These are the 3 columns inside this particular table. Okay. Now coming back to my presentation. Okay. Now if you see, when you create a table, you will have to give what? Create, object type is table. You have to give the object name. Object name is TBL student. I want to create a structure called as TBL student. And then what I will do, I will start open bracket. Here, do remember, though it is a create command, I have to supply an optional structure for certain type of objects. Not every object goes with the create object type object name. Definitely create database study goes without any structure, but for create table name, we have to say create, object type is table, object name is table student, and then I will open a parenthesis, close the parenthesis. Within that, I will provide a column name and the data type of this particular column. What is the data type of this column? That means I want to create a column called as name, and what type of data it will store within that particular column? It will store variable character string of size 200. We'll understand about each of the data type that is supported within SQL Server, and how do you know what type of data is supported and what is the structure for that. Okay, we'll learn about that as well. Now, if I go back and see, I'm defining a table here, saying my table structure is name, then I'm giving a variable character type of thing. Variable character means it is a string type of data. In SQL Server, when you choose a data type, in SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, if you choose the data type as varchar, then varchar is the data type that asks you, if you are saying varchar, that means it is going to store string type of data. If it is going to store string type of data, you have to say what is the size of string that you want to store. When I say 200, I'm saying the maximum data that I can store within this particular name column is 200 characters of name. Okay. I want to define again background, again a string type of data, that is varchar, and the limit that it can store is 200. Experience, again a varchar type of data, the limit it can store is 200. Okay, this is what I want to do. So what I will do, create database study. I will paste this particular thing in the chart window, so that will be easy. If you want to practice also, you can do it here. So I don't know, in the question I will say, in the chart I will say, in the chart window, to the all the audience, I am writing the, I can't copy paste here, copy pest. Why it is not going send? Yeah, sorry. I did the command 2 times. Okay. The first command is this, and the second structure I will copy, and then I will do the pest. Okay. You'll do a go in between, and then you will do a pest. If you have already done it, you can go do send. Okay. This is the structure. I will do the same thing. I will go to my SQL server. I will do one thing for sure is just a second. What I will do is, if you have already started your SQL Server, you know how to do it. If you have not already started, what you can do, if you have to go to the search window, type for SQL Server SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. It will come up with an icon. It will tell you connect to a database. Choose the database. Choose your default. Okay, let me show you again. Connect to the database engine. Choose your database where you want to say. Choose authentication as Windows authentication only, and hit connect. When you hit connect, what it will do, it will connect to your database server like that, right? And then if you don't know how to connect, also if you didn't do that, let me show you one more time. If you don't know what server it is, if it is blank for you, go here, choose browse for more, go plus the database engine. If you see two, then select whatever you have installed yesterday. I explained how do you identify what was installed. It was there in the instance name. For me, the instance that I installed is this one. For you, there may be one only. Okay. If you have done that, select that instance and then hit OK and hit connect. Okay. Now we are connected. What do you need to do? Come to the database window, go to the new query. You will see by default master database is highlighted in the drop down here. If you can see my cursor movement, yes, choose my master as the database. Okay, use the first command, create database study. Okay, here that I typed in the chart window, use that, paste it over here. I want to create a new database where I want to do my entire delete study exercise. Okay, so I'm creating a new database called as create database study, but my database is already there, so it might throw error. I executed this particular command, so I will do this create database study and I will hit execute button, and it is saying database study already existed because I have already created it, right? What I can do, I want to show you drop command. I told you drop command helps you drop any existing, delete the structure, entire structure of the existing object. I want to drop the database called as study that I created. Okay, before creating, I want to actually drop it because in my environment it is there. So I will say drop database study, drop object type, object name, create object type, object name. Object type is database, object name is study. Drop object type, object name. Drop database whose name is study. This is how you are going to say create a database whose name is study. Okay, so I want to drop this particular database, so it is saying command completed successfully. That means my database must have been gone, so I will right click and do a refresh on my database. If you see there is no database, my databases are all, my custom databases are all gone. Okay, now if you see, if my database is gone, I want to create one more time. How do I do that? Again, I will select my database as master database. Against master database only you can create the database. Okay, uh, once I highlight my create database study, I will do the execute. Done. Command completed successfully. Command completed successfully means what? Just a second, there is some noise coming out. I will just try to shut my windows down. Is it better? There shouldn't be any noise. Okay, fine. So I created a database. It has given me a prompt saying command completed successfully. Command completed successfully is the thing that you should always look out for. Okay, this is then confirmation that your command ran without any errors and it must have done something. It must have done something. So what did it do? I wanted to create a new database called as study. So I use the command create database study. So now my study database is created here. And yesterday I did explain where this particular study database got its structure from. There is a system database whose name is model. When you use the command create database study, what it does, it copy the structure of the model database, rename the structure to study. That is what it typically do. Okay, every database acquires its structure from the model database. This is also an interview question. What is the purpose of the model database? Model database is a template database from which other database objects acquire their structure from. Okay, understood that? Now let us go ahead and understand how do I go further drill down. Now I have created an study database, and while creating the study database, I selected master as my database name, right? But once my database is created and I want to create further object, I have to select that particular object, and then I will hit new query. And when I do that, if you see, my database name is by default selected to study database, right? There are two ways you can do it. Either the way I showed you can do that. What you do, go to the database, click the specific database against which you want to do programming, right? You will select the study and then you will hit the new query. It will open up a new query window where you can write your queries. It will be against the study database for sure. Okay, whatever query you will write, it will go and fire the query against the study database. Okay. One thing also do remember, whenever you are fresher and you are hitting any kind of SQL Server object, do definitely look at this particular drop down where my cursor is hovering right now. Okay, the drop down on the underneath my tools menu, right? The study database, the drop down here, right? Here it will list all the databases that is available inside my SQL. I have multiple options to select the database. If I want to change my database here, my query will be fired against the master database. How do I know where my query is getting run against, right? Do remember on the bottom of my screen, can you see here on the bottom of my screen, when I hover on the yellow area in the bottom grid, it is saying this area, it is saying your queries are going to be executed against the master database. And you have also selected master database here, right? If I choose my database to be study database again, you can see my query is confirming that it is going to get executed against the study database. Clear about that? Okay, whenever you are doing your initial days of programming, be very specific about which database you are querying and creating your object against. Be very specific that you have highlighted. Either you have done this, selected the data from the drop down, and make sure that you are connecting against that. There is another way you can also do it. Let me show you through the command. There is a command available in SQL Server only. Do remember this particular command behaves differently between SQL Server to the Postgre. Okay, with that we'll learn anyways after 25 or 26th session. Now let us say I want to change my database from master to study database. How do I do that? I can use a command called as use study, study. Okay, if I say use study in SQL Server, it will also change the command. This particular command is used to change the database from X to Y. So my previous database was master. Now automatically it is selected as study. Can you see the master database got changed from master to study, and the on the bottom grid also you can see it is pointing to study. Okay, so I say use study. Now I will write go. Always write a virtual go. It is not mandatory, but you should write the go statement as a line separator. Every command is separated from each other by a go. Now I want to go for the next command. What I want to do, I want to create a table for for storing all this data that I collected. I want to create a table structure to store the name, background, and experience of each of my students. How do I do that? So for doing that, I have created a table structure known as create table student. I will copy this particular structure, go back to my query window, paste this particular structure here. What I'm saying, create a table type of object, create object type, object name, whose name would be TBL. In industry, if you go, typically the table name starts with TBL as in signature. Okay, it is not hard and fast, but then essentially majority of the company follows some naming convention. The naming convention followed for the table are small TBL. Then the entity name is student. I want to store what data? I want to store student information, so I will say student, and I will say S in capital. That is how the naming convention is. TBL is my nomenclature for object, giving an signature from the name that it is a table type of object. Then the student is my entity name, that kind of object data that I want to store, and the student name is capital. Okay, it is known as camel casing in the industry. So typically we use camel casing in for creating the object name. So what I want to create a table whose name would be table student. There will be a column called as name, whose data type will be varchar 200. I will explain what are the data type and how many types of data types available. Background and experience, these are the three columns. Do remember, how are you doing? Column name, data type, size, comma, column name, data type, size, comma. That means if you have multiple column, you just put a comma separator and then say column name, data type, and then size. If the data type needs a size, definitely you have to provide that. Okay, highlight that only command. How do you execute? Highlight that segment of command, hit execute. Okay, this particular my database is selected as study. So by default, this particular table will be created against the study database. Okay, let's see. If I go into the tables, I create a table type of object. I will do a refresh. I will hit this plus icon. I can see a table student is created here. Okay, this is a table type of structure where the column names are name, background, and experience, and the data type supported is string type of data with a length of 200, string type of data with a length of 200, experience type of data with a length of 200. Okay, now I want to do some more fun. I have created, or I have used my create command to create a database. I have used my create command to create a table. So typically, if I understand it correctly, what I did, create command is leveraged to use to create the structure of the objects. Okay, now let's go back to the presentation. First, we'll complete because we have a DML, so we'll try to import this data into the table in that segment. Okay, now let us go ahead and create another structure. I want to create a table whose name is customer, and what it supports a new data type. I want to create a customer there is a column name as customer ID, that is a numeric column, integer type of data, then zip code, that is our zip code or the pin code, and that data type is varchar 200, street varchar 400, house number varchar 300. I have given some signature. I will go here, go to the chart window, paste the command here, also paste it and do enter. Okay, you can also try it out. I will go here. I always put a practice, write all the go, and then do this. Okay, do remember, whenever you are writing SQL commands, always make a habit, the command stack or the all this keyword that is coming in blue should be written in the uppercase. It is not mandatory, but it is the best coding standard accepted across industry, that whenever you are using any of your writing your SQL script, always use uppercase for your keywords, right? And the camel casing concept for the for your entities and names, right? Here, if you see, I didn't use the TBL signature. I should use it, but then if you are not using it, C capital and remaining all are small, right? That is how the naming convention is. I want to create a customer ID, zip code, street, and house number. Let's highlight this object and hit the execute button. Command completed successfully essentially means what? I should be able to create and see another table called as customer table also getting created. Can you see that? There is a table called as customers also getting created within the study database. What are the columns it has created? Customer ID in integer, zip code, street, and house number. Okay. We did use create command to create two tables for the demonstration sake, student table and customer table. Student table having 3-column name, background, and experience. Customer table having customer ID, zip code, street, and house number. Okay. Now let us go back. Do I have another privilege of creating a new table without executing a command? Is it possible? Answer yes. How do you do that? You can go to the tables, go to the study database, go to the tables, highlight the tables database, a tables object, right click on it. When you do the right click, it will say new. When it say new, you hit the table. Okay, it will open up a wizard or a window where you can say what type of column name you want to have. So I will say my new table will have a column name called as ID, and its data type will be integer type. How do you know what type of data type are there in the SQL Server, right? This is the wizard where you can see what types of data type are available within the SQL Server. So it is an important interview question as well. What types of data types are available and what is the purpose? We'll study and I will give you an overview, but then I will also give you the link for your own study. Okay, tomorrow while we start our session, I will ask some question around that. Okay, so I want to choose as a new integer type of data. I want to choose the data type as integer. Int means integer. It is the shortest form integer type of data. And by default, the integer starts at 1. It goes up to 2 to the power 8 minus 1 is the range. By default, SQL Server's data type are integer type of data are 8 bytes. So in the negative side, it will start from minus 2 to the power 8 into 8 is 64, because 1 byte is, so integer is 8 byte of data space. 1 byte is 8 bit of data space. So total sizing will be 2 to the power negative side 2 to the power minus negative side 2 to the power 8 into 8, that is 64. That would be the value. In the positive side, it will be one negative value. What it would be? 2 to the power 8 into 8 minus 1 in the positive side. That would be the range. We'll talk about this particular formula tomorrow. I will discuss more. Don't get confused. Only understand that it is a numeric type of data I want to store, and then I want to have another column called as, say for an example, I want to create a cricketer database. I would say ID, tell me team name, tell me team name, and it would be varchar. I want to team name would be always a string. I want to store 100 character for this particular size. Then I will say player name. Within the team, what would be there? It is the ID and then the team name. Okay, so I can create a team for the IPL, and I would say whether this particular team is an active team or it is a is it a decom team. So I will say it is a active and it is a type bit. Let's say a new data type called as bit. Bit is one or zero type of data. It can only hold two data, the bit type of data. Bit means 1 or 0. Okay, so I have that. Then what I will do, I will go click on this yellow top area, and then I will say Control S or save. It will prompt me enter a name for the table. I will say IPL. I will say franchise name, franchisee, or team name. I will say team name. Okay, this is my table name that I want to create, team name. Okay, hit OK. Your table is created. Let's see whether you have a table also available known as team name. Refresh, go there, expand, and you can see a table getting created known as team name. Okay, when you go to the columns, the 3 columns will be there. ID, team name is active. Okay, this is another way of creating the table. So we learned 2 things. How do you create a table? Create table, table name, column name, data type, and size. Some data type doesn't need any kind of sizing, like integer, float, real number, a bit. Those doesn't need a size, but string type of data, date time type of data, in some manner need some kind of sizing. Not all data time, but date time, but some kind of special type of date signature is also applicable for the date time. Okay. Now let us go back to the presentation deck. So we completed creating uh, creating new object using create. Now let us understand. We did this exercise. I think it is a duplicate version, so I will eliminate that. Customer is also created, and here I have given some definition of this particular thing. What is when we created this customer table, the customer and the ID integer type of data. When I say integer, it is an integer type of data, represents unique ID of the customer. I want to store the customer ID as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I want to do that, I have created that customer ID name and number, and I want to store the number between 1 till XYZ. Zip code is a string type of data, so I have used varchar. Street type is a string type of data, so I have used varchar. And then I have given a size. I want to store 400 string worth of data size. And house number is also a varchar type of data. I want to store that in a varchar. It is a string type of data. I want to store that in a varchar 300 sizing. Okay. Now let's go ahead into the data type description. In SQL Server, in Uber, if I have to say how what is my spread of my or what type of data types are supported within the SQL Server. In SQL Server, high levelly there are these categories of data type. Okay, numeric type of data. In numeric, you will find bit that only supports 0, 1. Tiny int, it supports a value between a specific range. Okay, it is the smallest type of data type. It supports up to 4 byte. So negative side 2 to the power 4 into 8 is 32 minus 1 till the positive side 2 to the power. So negative side 2 into 2 to the power 4 into 8 to the positive side 2 to the power 4 into 8 minus 1. That would be the value that it can hold and support. Small int, it is 8 byte. It is again, so small int is actually, I'm saying wrong. Tiny int is 2 bytes. This is 4 byte. This is 8 byte. This is 16 byte, right? So these hold different size of length of data, right? So what bit can hold? It can hold only 0, 1. It can hold between a specific range. It can hold between small int will hold beyond the tiny int range. Integer will hold beyond the small int range. big integer will hold beyond the integer range. That means if tiny int can hold up to 100, then small int can hold beyond 100. Int can hold beyond 1000. Big int can hold beyond 10,000. It is, I'm just giving a random number. How do you compute that? Number of byte it can contain, and the negative side range will be number of byte into bit. 1 byte is 8 bits. So if the data type it can accommodate is 4 byte, then 4 into 8. Negative side 2 to the power 4 into 8. Positive side 2 to the power 4 into 8 minus 1 will be the total range of data that it can support. Okay, and then there is a data type called as decimal, numeric, money, and small money. These are the data types supported in for storing numeric type of data. Numeric means what? Money. How much money you have? I have 15 rupees 50 paise, right? It is a decimal number. You can store as a decimal, but in SQL Server you have money also as a data type, right? And also small money. Money difference between the money and small money is also a range, or a range that a small money can contain, and is lesser than the range that a money data type supports. Okay, similar, the bit is the smallest data type that can only hold binary type of data, 0 and 1, nothing other than that. Tiny int, smallest, then followed by small int, then followed by int, then followed by big int. Okay, that is how the range is. Now, if you go to the approximate numeric, there are real and float type of data available. Okay, the real and float are two floating type of supporting value. Okay, real again is 4 byte, float is 8 byte worth of data sizing. Okay, date time is very sparse, and then you will find various type of date type of column. We'll have a very much dedicated session around the date time. I will not speak more right now, but do remember there are lot of variants of date time data type are available within SQL Server. One is known as date, other is date time 2, date time offset, small date time, and time. Okay, we'll have a session on that, so do not be curious, but don't be anxious that I didn't speak, because I have a dedicated session coming up. Okay, there are character string like char and varchar and text. Okay, these are the character type of data where you can store. Okay, an interview question to note: if you are having a pen and paper, please take a note. The question would be, what is the difference between char and varchar? It is a kind of 7 on 10 question if you are going for a SQL type of interviews. Okay, you can, if you are going for a data engineering, may or may not, but if you are going for a SQL interview, for sure you are getting this. What is the difference between char and varchar? Do remember, char, if you define char 10, that means even if you store only 2 character within that, remaining 8 character of space will be appended to that. We'll verify that. Okay, varchar is known as a variable character. If you defined 400 character and you are only storing 4 character within that, remaining 396 character space will never be utilized. It will be given away so that somebody else can utilize that space. But if you define a char of sizing or a specific size, if you store that big of length of a string or not, that size will be dedicatedly reserved for you. Okay, Unicode character string like nchar and nvarchar, numeric and character string you want to store, apostrophe kind of string you want to store, those kind of store is used for the Unicode character string to be stored within that. Same character, in character, var character, in varchar, text is a blob type of data. 2 GB is the default size for a text. So if you store a e-book, you want to store a big binary large objects within the SQL Server, then text is the data type that you should leverage, not varchar. What is the maximum character that varchar can support? 8,000 is the maximum character that a varchar data type support. If you want to store beyond 8,000 character of sizing, then you have to go for text. Okay, you want to store a big physics book converted into binary, or text extracted out of in a binary string, then leverage the text data type to be stored. Okay, what is the total storage for the char? Exactly half of the varchar, 4,000 character. Char can support up to 4,000 character, varchar can support up to 8,000 character. Anything beyond 8,000 is text type of data. It starts with 2 GB of storage per row. So if you define something as a text, it is going to kill your hard drive unless and until you are very sure that you want to actually define that particular data type and play around with that. Don't go ahead and create it. If you are creating it, destroy that object after seeing how the text looks like. Okay, now the binary, in the binary format we have binary, image, and var binary. Typically these data types are used for storing images or binary formatted data, 1 zeros or converted translated data of any format, audio video type of data can be converted into the binary format and then stored within this particular data type structures. And other than that, we have different type of objects also available: cursors, hierarchy, SQL variant, table type of object, row version, unique identifier. Towards the end of the session, you might have gone through each and everything, right? I'm not going to be very much focused describing and giving example of each of them right now, but throughout our journey of the SQL, you will touch every object. In different examples, you will touch it. Okay. So do remember 5 varieties of data type: exact numeric, approximate numeric, date time, character string, Unicode, binary, and special character, special objectives, of special data type. Okay, how do you remember? Exact numeric, approximate numeric, date time, character, Unicode, and other data type. That those are the category. And do you remember, then in interview question, there may be an interview question saying name some data types available in SQL Server. So do remember, do practice this data type, and do remember there will be interview question around difference between char and varchar. There will be interview questions around the date time object. There will be interview question around the real and float. Do remember these are approximate numeric data type. Real holds 4 byte of data, float holds 8 byte of storage. Okay. Now let's go to the next section, alter command. Now I have created a structure. I want to modify the structure of the object. Okay, how do I modify the structure of the object? If I want to modify the structure of the object, then I have to leverage a command known as alter command. Alter command has 3 flavors. Okay, do remember, if there is already a table and you want to add extra column to the table, then what you have to say, alter object type, object name, then the object body and structure. That is how the syntax was: create object type, object name, here alter object type, object name, and then the structure of that object, what you want to actually change in that particular structure. Okay, the alter command also supports few extra parameters within the structure. If I want to add a new column to my table, how do I do that? I will say alter table, table name, alt add column name, data type, and size. That would be my command. If I, like here in the last line of the example, alter table customer, add age integer, this is the command I want to do that. Okay, how do I do that? I will go ahead, I will copy this particular line. I have already created a customer table, right? So I will go and see in my query window, I have a customer table. I have a customer ID, zip code, street, and house number. What I want to do, I want to add an extra column to the table. I want to add a column to the table customer known as age, or age as the thing, right? So if I want to do that, I will say alter table, table name, which table I want to alter or change the structure of. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to add a column? Are you trying to remove a column? Those are the 2 operation you can do. And also you want to change the data type from X to Y. That is another operation also you can do while doing the alter. So what I want to do now, I want to add a column called as age, and a data type of this particular column would be numeric. So what keyword I will add? I will say add. Alter the structure of the table customer. How do I do that? Alter table customers. I will say add. I want to add a new column, so I'll say add. Then what I want to add? I want to add a column, and column doesn't always go with column name and the data type, right? So I want to say I want to add a column called age and data type is integer. So when I do that, let's see what happens. It's command completed successfully. How do I verify that? Go to the customer table, right click on it, do a refresh first, then go and expand it, go to the columns, and you will see a column called age is added after I did this particular column, right? Now, can I actually see that I want to actually modify the integer type of data type to, yeah, no, I want to add another column. Say for an example, I have a age. Can I add a column called as, it is a customer, so I can add a phone number also, right? So I will say add phone number. Okay, add phone. And I will add the phone number as a numeric object. Okay, so I chose integer. So let's see. I'm saying alter table, table name, add column, column name, add. I didn't say column, do remember, but in the other than SQL, Postgre, MySQL, anywhere you will go, you have to say add column, column name. You have to add an extra column property called a column. You have to go and type that keyword in MySQL, Postgre, Oracle, anywhere you are going to do that, you have to add that, add column. But in SQL Server, it is an optional. Do remember this. This is also an interview and a tricky question. In SQL Server, you no need to say add column name. Column is optional in SQL Server. So you will say add column name data type. That's all. So I will say add it. I have already added it. So it will say, it is saying already added. So I can see the phone is a numeric data type, right? But I then later thought phone is numeric, true, but 10-digit numeric is true. But what if I want to store the country value also, right? Then I cannot store a +1, +91, +95. I can't store that, right? If I want to do that, what I want to do, I want to change the data type to string so that I can actually store any type of value, including plus sign also. Okay, then I want to change the data type from, I want to change the data type. So I will not add it now. I will say alter. Okay, it's a alter table name, alter column. Now I have to say alter column phone from integer to, I will say varchar, and 10-digit phone number, maximum 3-digit country code, because we have 192 plus country, 3-digit country code plus sign. So it will be 10 plus 15 character will be a good sizing for a phone number. Okay, so if I do that, let's see whether it is accepting. Yes, it accepted my command. What did I do? Initially I created the phone number column with integer type of data. Now I changed the column from the integer to the variable character type of data. Let's see. Initially it was integer. I will go to the columns. I will do a refresh. When I see the refresh, now my column name is changed. Column data type is changed from integer to the varchar 15. This is how I can change the structure of the column as well. If I want to add a column, I will say alter table name, add column name data type. If I want to change the structure of the column, I would say alter column name and new data type. That is how I have to say. You are saying alter column, alter table name. That is anyways consistent. Alter DDL data type has a similar definition. Command, object type, object name. Command is alter, object type is table, object name is customer, and then after that the optional keywords to do operation. What I want to do, I want to change my phone from integer to the varchar. So I did that, alter column name, data type, size. Now I want to actually drop this column that I added. I don't want this phone number column to be stored here. How do I do that? I can use a command called as alter table customers drop column phone. You no need to specify the data type because you want to drop it. You are not, your intention is not data type anymore. So what you would say, alter table customer, I want to drop the column called as phone from the customer table. So what I would do, alter table customers drop column name, execute. Command completed successfully. Let's see customer table. I will go to refresh. I can do the refresh at the table level. I can do refresh at the column level. So I have shown you refreshing at the column level also helps and table level also helps. Okay. Now you can see the phone number column is all gone. Can you see that? Phone number is gone. I want to add it back. I will do that. I will do refresh. Phone number is there. I want to drop it. Column refresh. Column gone, right? These are the command you should leverage for altering the structure of the table, right? If you want to alter the structure of your data container, do remember table is a data container. Here it is a tabular manner. Okay, the data, once you want to store the data inside the table, you have inside a SQL server, you have to create a table within which you want to store your data. Okay, clear? Now once you have the data a data container created, you want to add a new column or modify existing column, then leverage the alter command to do that. Okay, other than that, let's move back to the PPT. We could talk about the alter command also. Let's see the, yeah, I have given the example. Now we'll go and practice the drop command. Okay, drop is a command. Do remember, drop command helps you delete existing object from SQL Server. Drop command helps in deleting already created objects from the database, and it permanently deletes the object from the database. Do remember, once you execute a drop command, it will entirely delete the container. So drop is a potentially dangerous command to be run against a production system. Okay, be very sure before running the drop command. If you run a drop command, the object and the data, everything will be gone, and you will never be able to retrieve it unless and until you have a backup available of a SQL. We'll talk about that, but do remember drop command entirely permanently delete the structure and the data from the database. So never ever run a drop command unless and until you are asked to run it. Okay, unless and until somebody asks you to run the drop, never ever run the drop command. Okay, let me show you how do you verify that. How do you what is the structure of a drop command? I want to permanently delete my customer table. How do I do that? I will say drop object type is table, and the object name is customer. So I'll say drop table customers. Execute. Okay, so let's see. I will go to the table label. I will say refresh. Let's see whether the customer table is all gone. I can see only two table now, TBL student and team name. The customer table is all deleted. With the data, everything is gone. Okay, if you run a drop command against a particular table, the table with the data will all be destroyed. Okay, if I want to create the customer table again, create customer table, execute tables, refresh. I will see the customer table here back again with all the columns intact. Okay, but the data will be all gone because I have executed the drop command. Okay, now an interesting piece that I wanted to show about in the today's last part is the truncate command. Okay, so DDL drop is done. Now we'll talk about the truncate command. Okay, do remember it is an interview question, and it is a very interesting interview question. There is a lot of property associated to the truncate command, so I'll explain that all now. Okay, do remember truncate command is a special command that helps in deleting all rows of data from the table. Okay, but it keeps the structure of the table intact. This command is useful if you want to delete all the data from the table, but you want to keep the structure of the table intact. That means anybody asked you, can you please go ahead and delete the data from the table, but do not drop the structure. Okay, I want to delete all the data available in the customer table, but I don't want to drop the structure of the table. Okay, then use the truncate command. Somebody asked you delete the structure and the data, drop command. Okay, your choice when to execute drop, when to execute truncate. You want to delete the data but retain the structure, truncate. If you want to delete the data as well as the structure, use drop. Okay, syntax is very much straightforward. Like all the redirect command, object type, object name. And do remember one peculiar objective with the truncate command. Truncate command can be only executed against a specific object in SQL Server, that is a table. You cannot say truncate database name. That is a void command. You can't say truncate procedure name, truncate view name. These doesn't exist. You can say drop procedure name, drop view name, drop table name, drop database name. All are valid, but truncate is only applicable to be executed against a table. You cannot do the truncate with any other type of object. And what is the command definition? Truncate table name. That is the only legal format. Okay, let us verify. But before verifying, I have a customer table. So how do I see the data within the table? I will say we'll study the select command, but if you because that will come again after 2-3 session. So I will show you whatever table is created. I want to see the data within that particular table. So I'll say select star from the table name. I will select this particular, click this particular object, and then I will drag onto the screen. Okay, I will select star from customers. Let's see. It is saying there is a customer ID, zip code, street, and house number. I want to insert certain rows into the table. I want to do that particular test. So I will say insert into TBL customers, and I want to insert values into the table. And there are 4 columns, it seems. Customer ID is numeric type of data, zip code is string. I will say 500071 is the pin code, and the street is Amirpet, and then I will see a house number is 123/1. Okay, this is what this is there inside the customer table. Let's see, execute. Yeah, one row affected. My insert command worked. I want to see the value again. What is there inside my customer table? I can see that it is a table like structure, Excel like structure, right? Column name is customer ID, zip code is this, street is this, house number is this, right? Whenever I inserted a value, one got mapped to the customer's first column, one got mapped to the customer ID, second part got mapped to the zip code, third part got mapped to the street, fourth part got mapped to the house number. Okay, my insert command, I inserted one row of data into the table. Let us try distinction between the truncate command and a drop command. Okay, now do you remember what did I say? When you execute a truncate command, what happens? Truncate table. How do you do that? Truncate table name. I will say truncate table DBO customers. Okay, truncate table DBO customers. I do that. What happens? Truncate table customer command completed successfully. If I do the truncate command, does it destroy the structure? Answer is no. Truncate command never destroys the structure. Customer table is still there. But what would have happened? My data was there. Whether the data is still there, data is gone. My new row of data that I inserted, that is all gone because I executed a truncate table. Truncate does what? It wipes out all the data that is available within the table. Okay, but keep the structure intact. Okay. Now we'll do one more exercise. I will try to insert the same data one more time. Okay. I will insert the same record one more time. I will insert 4-5 times. Okay. I did execute 4-5 times. Now I will do the select. So I inserted the same record. There are 5 rows of data available. I want to go ahead and use the, again, let us do the truncate command one more time. 5 rows of data were there. You can see 5 rows worth of data are there. Now I am executing truncate table. Now when I executed the truncate, what would have happened? Table is there, all the 5 rows of data are gone. Structure is there, all the data are gone. I will do insert again, execute. Let's see, I'm executing multiple times. I will try to see how many rows of data are there. There are 7 rows of insert I did. Okay, now I want to do a drop table. What will happen with the drop table? Let's see. When I do the drop table, whether the table will still be there, answer is no. Why? Drop table deletes the table as well as with data. Okay, if I go and do refresh, the customer table is not there. If I do select star from DBO customers, it will not be there. It will say invalid object, customer doesn't exist. This particular object doesn't exist anymore. Why? Because I dropped this particular table. Okay, that is where the table is all destroyed. So in DDL there are 5 commands today we studied. 4 command by far we have studied. One is create, one is alter, one is drop, other is truncate, right? Now there is another special command known as rename command, okay, available in SQL. In SQL, as per NSI standard, there should be a rename command, but in SQL Server, okay, I will talk about this grid in a later time. In SQL Server, there is no rename command. In as per ANSI standard, there should be a rename command, and ANSI suggested the rename command syntax is rename old object name to new object name. So ideally, what ANSI postulated, who owns SQL? ANSI owns the SQL. They control the SQL standard. As per the ANSI standard, the rename command structure is rename old table name customers. Say for an example, first I have to create the customer table, right? I dropped it. So I will say rename. I can see the structure of the customers now because it is back again. So customer table is there. I want to say rename customers to customers one. I want to rename the table name customers to customer one. Ideally, the syntax would have been rename old object name to new object name. In Postgre, MySQL, any other version of the SQL flavors, this is the syntax that is running fine. But in SQL Server, this is not the syntax. This is one of the interview question. Do remember, there is no direct rename command available in SQL Server. What is available in SQL Server? The alternative to the rename command is available as there is an abstraction or procedure available that actually can help you rename the object. Say for an example, I want to rename a table called as this. How do I do that? I would say rename customers table. So I would say sp underscore rename is the procedure that needs 2 parameters. I will say sp rename old object name comma new object name. That is how I will do that. So sp rename old object name to the new object name. New object name is customer one. If I highlight this line and execute, let's see. Yeah, It is giving me a warning. Causing change to the part of the object could break scripts. Yes, you are changing old object name to the new object name. There are programs written. You are changing the name. That means the existing program that was leveraging customer might break because you have changed the name, right? So it will actually give you a warning. It is not an error, but it is giving you a warning. If you are changing the name, go ahead and change your scripts as well. Okay. So trunket table we tried. So this is done. This is not going to work. How do I comment out lines in SQL? Hyphen hyphen. So if I hyphen hyphen a line and execute, it will not throw error because it will not run. Okay, can you see that? It is not running and the line becomes green. It is known as the comment line. Single line comment in SQL Server is written with hyphen hyphen. Okay, if you write a hyphen hyphen before any line, that line becomes a comment line and it will never be executed by SQL Server. Okay, so in case I want to do this, let us verify whether my customer table is now renamed to customers one. Let's verify that. Can you see my customer table is renamed to customer one? Can I rename the customer one to into the customer back again? How do I do that? My old table name is customer one. My new table name is customer. I have to just change the sequence. Executed warning tables refresh. My customer one should be now renamed to at times at Gohang. Yeah, customer is now renamed to customers. Okay, this is one way of renaming the SQL object, right? But then also you have another privilege. You can just double click on the object and then rename as well. What do? You just double click and say rename here. Right click on it and rename and whatever you want to give a name, customer one. That is also another possibility. You don't want to write and you want to rename. How do you do? Right click on it, say rename and customer one to customer. Okay, this is another option, but better option is always use this rename. You want to change the name of a particular table or a procedure or a view, use sp rename that. But say for an example, within a table, you want to change the column name of something, right? Say for an example, my ambition is to change the column name of customer ID to ID. How do I do that? So I would say customers tables, column name is customer ID. So I will drag the customer ID here. Column name customer ID to, I would say that change it to ID column. Let's see. I want to change the name of the customer ID column to ID column. Can I do that? Okay, let's verify columns, refresh. Yes, my customer ID column is now renamed to ID. How do I do that? Table name dot column name to the new column name. Okay, this is how you are going to change it. Okay, the same object, same procedure, but if you pass the structure, then it will change it. I want to change back from ID to customer ID again. How do I do that? So I would say control exit, and then I would say this, then I would say you change the ID column to customer ID column. Okay, let's see columns, refresh. Yeah, customer ID back again. Okay, this is how I can actually do the DDL command stack. Let us go back to the DDL command. I did discuss about the rename command. Let us verify a few things. This is what I wanted to also talk about. I will definitely give you a definition of this entire description. This is one of the important interview question. Like I said, it is a 10 on 10 interview question. Any interview for the SQL Server, any interview for the SQL, any interview for the data engineering, you are going to go this particular command, be prepared that there will be interview question saying, tell me the difference between delete and truncate. Do remember, truncate is you don't know about delete yet, so we can discuss more about it after the DML command tomorrow. But then essentially, if I have to talk about the difference between the delete and truncate, the truncate is the DDL command. It doesn't require a where condition. You cannot even write a where condition in a DDL command stack. That means if you use a truncate command, it will wipe out the entire table structure, all the data within the table structure. You cannot say selectively delete only few rows, not possible. In truncate command, not possible. You cannot write a where condition. Okay, deletes all data. Single row deletion is not at all possible. It resets the identity property. I will show you what that identity property mean, and that will give you some more clarity. It is an interesting one. Okay, what happens when you do that? Okay, let us identify. I will want to create a table known as customers. Again, I will drop the table customers again. Where is my customer table? I want to drop my student table again. Okay, let's drop the student table, and I will recreate it. So I will do the drop table students, drop table students. Okay, how do I drop a table? Drop table name. So when I do the drop table student, my student table will be gone from the table list. Refresh. Student table is gone from my table list. Now what I will do, I want to create a table known as, I will give a ID part to the unique number. I will say you host numeric type of data. I will write a very specific column extra property known as identity. Okay. Do you remember in SQL Server identity column, if you say ID is my column name, it will store numeric type of data, and I'm giving an assignment of property known as identity property. Identity property assigns a value of starting from 1 automatically whenever a new row is inserted into the table. That means you no need to insert a value for the ID column. SQL Server will auto generate the value for the ID column starting with 1, and it will automatically increment the value by 1. That is what the identity property means. Okay, in MySQL it is auto increment, in Postgre it is identity only. Okay, in 3 of the databases the variation of identity is auto underscore increment in MySQL. Postgre also support the identity property. Okay, ID, INT, identity. What that does mean? Even if you cannot insert the value of the ID column. If I specify identity, it is an instruction to SQL Server. SQL Server, please automatically insert the value for the ID column into the table. Name, background, and experience, I will insert. ID you manage. That is what the instruction I'm giving back to SQL Server. So let's create a table. Okay. Now, because I have created a table with this identity property, let's verify what does it do. I want to insert some data into the table. So I will say insert into student, and I want to insert what value? I want to insert into name column. I want to insert into background column. I want to insert into experience column. So I will say column names. Okay, insert into table name bracketed column list. What column you want to insert the value of? Name, background, and experience. And then I will write a clause called as values clause, and then the value list. In the name, I will supply something. In the name, I will say Guljar check. Okay. And what type of data it is? It is a string type of data. So string is always encapsulated within single quotes in SQL Server. Okay. String is encapsulated within single quotes. Okay, his background of Guljar is what? MCA. Control C, Alt Tab. Again, it is a string type of data. I will encapsulate it within single quotes, and then MCA, and then I would store it in. And the experiences, he is a fresher. So sorry, she is a fresher, and then I will say this and this, and then I will close the bracket. Okay. I want to just insert a new record in the table saying I want to insert a value. Let's see what value is being inserted. I will say go and then say select star from the table name. Table name is TBL student. Okay. This is the table name. So I will say select star from student. Okay. I see one record getting created as this. Okay. How do I insert all this data into the table? What I will do one interesting part now. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I will go to the column E in this particular table. I want to actually create an insert script for all. It is an Excel column. So I will put a E equals to sign. Then I will write double quotes here. Then I paste the entire insert line. I will close double quotes here. Then I know I want to change these values of my rows. So I will do delete this value and I will put double quotes, ampersand, ampersand, double quotes. I will do for the same MC. I will take out. I will say double quotes, ampersand, ampersand, double quotes. I will go to the fresher. I will say double quotes, ampersand, ampersand, double quotes. It's the formula that I'm putting. And when I go here, I will go between both the ampersands and select this column. I will go select this value and select this column. And then I will go select this value and select this column. Go to the end of the line, hit enter. Okay, my insert script is now automatically generating the value. I will highlight all my data rows. I will apply a control D. Okay, all the values are generated. I will copy. Then I will go back to my script. I will replace this value because I have already inserted one row of data for Guljar. Sorry, Guljar, yeah. So I don't want to insert that extra line. Or maybe I will do one thing. I will truncate the table so that my any data that is available will be wiped out before insertion. So I will say truncate table TBL student, so that any data available within the truncate table will be gone. Go. Okay. So let's do that. Execute. There is no data, so I can insert this fresh rows of data. Let's see. Executed. Now I want to see, tell me what data is available within the student table. Let's see. Can you say all the data that we collected today as an exercise of identifying who is the user, what is his background and experience, all is entered into a table. Now finally into the table called as TBL student. The interesting part is the ID column. I set a value of identity. Identity means auto increment number. The value will automatically start from 1, and next rows are automatically going to be inserted with 1. Okay. Identity is an interview question. Do remember there are certain property I'm going to talk about now that you should definitely remember for your interviews. Okay. Identity makes a particular column value automatically incremental. Okay. You cannot by default insert value for the ID column, because once you define an identity column, it is an instruction to SQL Server. SQL Server, you manage the data. I will not provide the data for that. Okay. So by default, it will automatically increment the value from 1 till this. Okay. Let us go ahead and truncate this entire data. What happens? We'll see. Okay. Now, I will do one thing to demonstrate the data difference between delete and truncate. What I will do is, okay, let's see. I will truncate the table now. Okay, I truncated the table. Let's see what data is left in the table. There is no data left in the table. I will reinsert the data again back in the table. All the data rows got deleted. Table structure was intact. If I see, again the value was generated from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 15. Correct? All the 15 rows of data got inserted and the start value was 1. Even if the last value was 15, the first value become 1. Now I want to show you another thing. Now, instead of writing truncate, there is another command available known as delete. We'll study about the delete anyways tomorrow. So delete table, TBL student. If I do that, that is the delete table name, delete from table name. Okay, this is the syntax of delete. Do not bother about the delete. Anyways, I will talk about it. Delete is a clause that also helps deleting the data rows. Okay, so I use a delete command to delete the data rows. Can you see now? Select, there is no data available. But if I insert the new record, let's see what happens. I deleted the data, so everything is gone. Now I inserted the data back again. Now let's see a select star. The value got inserted. The last value was 15. Now after the delete command, whatever value got generated into the identity column is the last value plus 1. When I use the delete command, it generated from the last value of the last identity property, that is 15. So 16 onward, it generated next 15 number. So when you use the delete command, it does not resets the identity property. But when you use truncate command, it resets the identity property, the initial value. Okay. When we use the truncate command, the value was always getting generated at what? 1, right? If I again apply a truncate command here and then insert the value, you will see the value is getting generated at 1. Whereas when I am using the delete command to wipe out the data, you see the value is getting generated at 1 because identity property starts on 1. Okay. Now, if I use the delete command here, data gone, I am trying to insert, and the value will be generated from the last identity value. That is the difference, basic difference between the delete and truncate. Do remember, the delete and truncate wipes out the data. Truncate resets the identity property value, whereas delete does not. Okay, that is the major difference. And then delete can support where condition. Truncate doesn't support where condition. We'll learn more about it when we talk about the where condition. I will again retouch this particular fundamental. Okay. Identity property, you understood that it is the value that automatically SQL Server assigns from 1. Now interview question, can I actually change the property of identity property to increment it by 3 instead of 1? That means first value will be 1, second value will be 3, next value will be 5. That means I want to generate odd number series. How do I generate that identity property with odd number? What I will do, I will drop the table first. Okay, by default, if you do not specify the identity, it will start with 1, increment by 1. But if you want to specify a specific definition, you start at 1, increment by 2. Then let's see how the behavior looks like. Okay, create a table with this identity property. Now, if I will insert this record into the table, you will see odd number series of data is getting generated. Why? Because I said start at 1, increment by 2. So 1 plus 2, 3, plus 2, 5, plus 2, 7, plus 2, 9. If you want to see the change the behavior of the property, what you need to do, you have to supply this extra 2 value. First is the start value, second is the increment value. Okay, this is known as the seed property, this is known as the increment property. So if you read this definition, it says it reseeds the identity. Reseed means what? It is change the seed value. Seed means the start value. So what is the starting value? 1. So automatically the starting value of the identity property will be reset after the truncate command. Okay, can you start the identity property at 100? Is it possible, or it will always start at 1? It is always possible to start at any number per your definition. I'm going to drop the table again. I will change my property value to 100 and then increment by 5. That is also possible. Okay, these are tricky question and interview question, so please play around with the identity property. It is very interesting. And then I will insert the value into the table. Let's see. Now the value, if you see, will be there as 100. Now it is not starting at 1, it is starting at 100. 100, 105, 110, and because I mentioned that you start at 100 and increment the value by 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Correct? So that is how the identity property work. Okay. If I do the reset, if I do the truncate, what will happen? The identity property, the next value will be again back to 100. But if I did do delete, what will happen? The next value generated will be 175, not 100. It will generate the new value as 175. Let's see that. Delete all the value from the student. Again, reinsert the value. Reinsert all the value. Execute. See the value in the student table. Execute. 175. Why? The last value was 170. So the new number will be generated as 175 in case of a delete. Delete never resets the identity. Truncate resets the identity. Hope it is very clear to you now. Now let me go back. I discussed about the rename. Now these are the interview questions. We have discussed a lot about this, but then this is the segment that we are going to talk about today before closing. What is DDL? We have understood DDL is the data definition language. What is the purpose of the DDL? It helps in creating, modifying, and changing the structure of the objects. Okay, and even deleting the structure of the object. What are the commands supported in DDL? Create, alter, drop, rename, truncate. Do you remember in SQL Server rename command is not available? Instead of the rename, there is a stored procedure available whose name is sp_rename, and it accepts 2 parameter, old object name, comma, new object name. Okay, that is the only difference. So do you remember the actual rename syntax provided by ANSI is rename old object name to new object name, but in SQL Server it is sp_rename old object name, comma, new object name. Okay. What is the truncate command? Truncate command is a DDL command that helps in deleting or wiping out all the value from the table, but keeping the structure intact. What is the difference between delete and truncate? Delete is the DML command, truncate is the DDL command. Delete never resets the identity property. Truncate definitely resets the identity property. When you do delete, a trigger get executed. Truncate never fires a trigger. We'll understand about the trigger when we understand the trigger. Okay. What is rename command? Rename command helps in renaming an existing object to the new object name. In SQL Server, do you have a rename command? Absolutely, you don't have a rename command available in SQL Server, but a procedure available known as sp_rename. What is syntax for rename in SQL Server? Syntax for rename is sp_rename, space, old object name in single quotes, comma, new object name in single quotes. What are the clauses supported in alter command? Do you remember today we discussed in alter command? Alter helps you changing the structure of the object, right? And what type of alter command is supported? If you want to add a new column, the keyword that is supported is add. If you want to change the existing data type from X to Y, then you have to say alter column, column name, data type size. If you want to drop the existing column, then you will say drop column, column name. So what are the 3 property available? You can add a new column, you can change the structure of the existing column, and then you can drop the structure of the drop a single column from the table, right? So alter command helps you do that. Let's go back again. What are the club? Okay, difference between a real and a float. I have already explained. The real type of data is a 4-byte data structure versus a float is a 8-byte data structure. Difference between real and var. Let me show you that. That is also interesting, so that at least you understand that thoroughly. Okay, let me create a table for you. For create a table, test. Say for an example, I want to create a table test, and then I want to have two data types. Okay, I want to have a data type called as name, and I will give the definition as char 10. Char 10, char means character 10, and then I will have a property known as name 1, and then I will say varchar 10. Let's see the difference between these two type of data. One column name is name, other is a name 1. Okay, I'm creating a table called as create table test. Let's see table is created or not. Table refresh. I would see test table, and there are two columns. One column is name, other is a name 1. And then if I go see here, and I will do insert into the table, insert into test table. How do I do that? Insert into test. I have multiple ways of doing it. I will learn about it. Values, and the value list will be, I want to insert a value called as ABCD into the name column and ABCD into the name 1 column. Okay, there are two values. It will automatically map back to the first column to the first value. ABCD goes back to the name, and ABCD1 goes back to the name 1. Okay, I can insert the same ABCD into both the column. Okay, let's see. Now I want to see the data. What do I do? I will say select star from the table name. I want to see the data from select star from test, execute. Once I do that, I can see ABCD and ABCD. The same data went in, but what is the difference? Let's see. Select, there is a function available in SQL Server known as length function. If I want to see the length of the string inside a particular column, I can use say select len function, and then that function asks for the string, and then the bracket close happen. Okay, I want to identify what is the length of ABCD. The first column is char column. I'm putting that particular column. Can you see that extra spaces are appended here to make it 10? Let's verify. What is my length of the string? It is 4. Length will say 4, but do remember, for while I was selecting the data from my name column, which is a character column, 4 character plus extra 6 space are added. Okay, but when I'm copying from this name 1 column, let's see what is coming. Can you see there is no extra space, right? The difference between a char and a varchar is char will make sure whatever data you are providing, it will store that, and remaining number of characters, it will append blank spaces to that to make it a holistic 10 character length string. Always, even if you don't have a 10 character, that means here 4 character, it will append 6 spaces to that. Whereas in varchar, it will not do that. Whatever value you will pass, it will store only that value, and remaining space it will release out for later storage. Which is a better data type? Definitely varchar is a better data type. Why? It actually manages the dynamic way of identifying the length of the string. If I am defining 200 character for a varchar, but I'm storing 4 character, then automatically SQL Server releases 196 character for other element for leveraging. But if you define a 200 character as a character array, then all the 200 characters will be leveraged and stored inside a character type of data, and it will be a wastage of space. Even if you are storing 4 character, 196 extra space will be added into that particular column, right? So char is not a good data type to be used. Leverage varchar definitely most of the time. But if you definitely want to make the string length always 10 character, nothing like char property. If you want dedicatedly always the char property always returns a dedicated value, then go for the char data type. Okay, okay, perfect. And then fine. This is what the total presentation is all about. Any question from your side, team? I know it is a very long session. I didn't look at the question. Do you have any questions for me before closing the session today? I am looking at the chart window. Am I looking at the right area? Attendees here, but then chart here. Yeah. Any questions, guys, from your side? You can type down your questions, please. Do create view comes under DDL? Yes, absolutely. This is the first question I see. SQL, no. Okay, let me go back. Yeah. First question. How does SQL know it's a row and column from syntax? SQL Server is smart, right? How does it know SQL Server is a row and column? That means you have defined your row, right? Row and column means what? You are specifying a value. It is always storing the data in a row, right? In SQL Server, whenever you use insert command, you can always insert the value for a specific row. You cannot insert a value for different thing, right? So when you specify the column names, automatically it maps back to the corresponding column. So name for the Guljar, background for the MCA, experience for fresher. That is how it maps back the column name to the data type. Now, do create view comes under DDL? Create view is not coming under DDL. The create command is a command that is a DDL. Okay. Yes, you can create view with DDL command also. Every create type of object that you want to do, you can create a procedure, create view view name as a select command, create procedure name as something, create table name, create database name, create login name. Any object that you want to create using DDL, you can do that. So the question has two parts. Whether create view comes under DDL, create command itself is the DDL. What you are doing, I want to create a view using DDL. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, view tables are faster than normal tables. How? I didn't talk about that. I didn't say that view tables are faster than normal tables, and how. And do remember, views are never faster. Always selecting the data from the real table is always faster. When we discuss about view, we'll talk about then. Okay, do remember, view is an abstracted object that is nothing but a named select SQL query written on top of a table. Do not go over there. View will come after 15 session. Bear with me. We'll understand more during then. But do remember your question, and if the answer is no. View tables are faster than normal table. Absolutely no. And how? Because it is no, there is no answer. Okay. Now, any other question, team? We are about time. Does create view comes under DDL? I answered that. Anything else I'm not answering? Okay, there are some questions. View tables are faster than I did. What is the benefit of using Go command, sir? Okay, the Go command is a differentiator. Do remember, Go is not a mandatory command. Even if you do not write, it doesn't matter. Actually, in SQL Server, because you are highlighting the script and you are doing that, right? Go is a line specifier. What you are saying, this is my one command versus this is my another command. It is a beautifier. You can say that you are segregating your commands, and then you are saying every command is separated from each other. Okay, it is a specifier. There is a very specific purpose for Go. You will understand when I will talk about the temporary table. Okay, hold on to your thoughts, because this Go does play a role. Okay, it specify a block of code. Whatever goes within this particular area of code, between a go to go, that has meaning, but beyond that go, it doesn't have a meaning. I could have given an example not to confuse, but I will show you how does it matter. There is a property available in SQL Server known as a variable. Okay, we can declare a variable, declare at the rate a as int type of data, set the value of the at the rate a as 10 or 10, and select the data whatever is available in the at the rate a. Okay, let's highlight this 3 line of code and execute. It will say that I am declaring a local variable known as a variable a, whose type is integer type of data. I am assigning the value of 10 and I'm selecting the data as 10. It is working fine. Okay, now I'll put a go. I will put a go. Okay, and then I will say select this. Okay, this works fine. It is always working fine. But if I go beyond this block of go, the value will automatically be destroyed. Do remember, one value is written 10. The 10 is written from this block. But here, if you see, there is an already a red marker under the A. What it is saying, I don't understand what do you mean by A in this block. Why? Because within this particular block, I am declaring a local variable. and the block gets automatically destroyed whenever it encounters a go statement. Okay, when this block encounters a go, it automatically destroyed this local variable. So when it reaches this block, there is no declaration of the variable, so it is throwing an error saying there is no variable known as a already declared. Correct. If I remove this, it will work. If I remove, it will work. But if I keep a go in between, can you see? I return select a 2 times, select a 2 times came. But if I write a go in between, it will destroy this local variable here only, right? And it will throw error for the next segment. For the first segment, you will see the result, but for the second segment, it is not working. Hope that answers. Okay. Go is a line, it is a beautifier. You know that every command is separated from each other. That is how you should write your script. I will share this particular code with you guys for your practice. Now let's go back to the questioning. Char varchar difference and explain in whiteboard once. I have already explained that. Do you need more clarity again? I can do that. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. Pent. Okay, you are able to see my pent. So if you see, if I write a integer, oh sorry, why shall I write integer? I should write a char. I should write a char, and I define it as 10 characters, right? That means what will happen, and I will store ABCD in that. What will do, it will do ABCD, and then it will space, then it will add 6 empty space, 1 2 3 4 5 6, to make it a character length of 10. Always if you say it is a character 10, it will do that. But varchar doesn't do that. Varchar only stores what? Varchar 10 will store only ABCD. It doesn't append an extra character space to that. Varchar 10, if you want to store, then it will only store ABCD. That's all. That is the difference. So this extra space is a vestige of space in character data type because it is a bounded data type. Okay. Whatever length you specify, SQL Server will make sure that this much of space is always reserved for 10 to make it 10. Hope that explains. Now let's go back. Can we have multiple identities in a table, sir? Absolutely great question. You can have only one identity. Do you remember in a table? You can have only one identity column per table. And do remember, whenever you define a table with identity column, use that particular column as the primary key column. We'll explain that particular further, but a table can contain only one column with an identity property. Do remember, identity property has to be a numeric column, and typically you can choose in int or big int as the data type for the identity columns. Okay, good question. Can you please explain show data type slide again? I will give the link for all the data type slide. I will anyways give you the slide. You can go back and do that. What is the benefit of using Go? I have already told. Can you explain selection through Excel again, sir? You can go through the recording. It is already there. When to use different data types, such as I will explain that. Can we have multiple? Do you have crew book for this command? Crew book for this? I don't know what is a crew book, but then essentially I will give you explanation. Can you explain selection through Excel again? Okay, fine. If there are no further question, I think we can wind up the session now. Thank you all. Thank you very much.